Hello, everybody, and welcome, Natasha. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Very good. I'm very happy to have you here today. Today,
Likewise.
we are here to discuss The Monogamist, Season 1, Episode 7 of Sex and the City. And for this, I have Natassia Miller, who is a sexologist and founder of Wonderlust.
Yes.
So, as per usual, I'll do a bit of framing around the episode and then I'll prompt you with some questions that I think you'll be great for this episode.
Okay.
Um, so in this episode, we see Carrie and Mr. Big kind of like falling into this blissful honeymoon period. She's finally gotten the man that she thought was unattainable. They look so happy running around Manhattan. She talks about how she has no sense of time passing by when they're together. Everything just sounds great. So much so that she seems to have dropped her best friends in the midst of having her dream relationship. And she catches up with Miranda over the phone and she's like, "Oh, I can see you Saturday because me and Big were going to do something, but I think something came up, so I'm free." So my first question to you is, what do you think of some women that when they finally get a relationship, especially one that is as coveted as Mr. Big was for Carrie, what do you think of some women that tend to forget that they had a life of their own and then suddenly their life becomes their man's life and their identity becomes their identity?
I don't know about the identity piece. 'Cause I feel like that might be too soon, even for where Carrie is. But I think it's absolutely normal for new relationship energy to take up all our time. It's
Hmm.
biologically, it's how we're wired, right? So I have been guilty of that. Honestly, all of my friends have. Very rarely, I generally see the people who are able to maintain like a really active social life beyond the new relationship that's going on. I feel like generally it's people that aren't as swept away by the person that they're with, you know?
Yeah, I understand. But then what do you say about, you know, a good old slow burn? Trying to reel it in and then,
Yeah, and that can be great as well.
yeah.
I think I've always been really intense. So for me, I've never really had the slow burn. But I think even with the slow burn, eventually when you do couple up, then there is a period where you are inevitably spending all the time together. I think the problem here is that Carrie just jumped into it too soon.
Yeah. She
Like
kind of decided. Yeah.
yeah, she decided for the two of them
Yeah.
that it
That
was a
this
new
was it.
relationship and this was it, right? So I
Yeah.
think that's where the error lies. And I think I love Sex in the City, but I think it's such a it can be realistic, but it's also such a toxic example for us. Like
Yeah.
following her and Mr. Big's relationship experience, I'm like, girl, I have already done a ton of what she has with the fuck boys and dragged myself through the mud, but she just took it on for too long, you
Yeah.
know?
Okay, interesting. So what I'm getting, reading between the lines is the advice is there's nothing wrong with like a passionate affair. You don't
Yeah.
have to try to slow burn it, but make sure that everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how many times have I met somebody and I was swept away right off the bat, but it's not exclusive and I'm
Hmm.
aware of that. And you as much as you'd like to be spending Saturday night with that person, you do have to force yourself to go out with the girls,
Yeah.
when things aren't very clear.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So then this is how it happens for her that because Mr. Big is busy that night, they go out for dinner with the girls, and here we get a bit of a catch up of what's been going on with everybody. Miranda closes super big M&A deal. Samantha's obsessed with finding a new apartment, and then Charlotte is practically engaged. And
yeah.
Charlotte is saying they introduce again a scene from this show that has lived in my mind rent free for all these decades, which is the blowjob tug of war. They're fooling around in the guy's apartment, and then the guy kind of like hints at the fact that he would like her to go down on him. And Charlotte is like, I don't do that. I don't do that. I don't like it. And at the beginning, she seems to be like, I don't do it because I don't like it. It's not my thing. And then she says, I have a very sensitive gag reflex. Never have liked it. And here I'm dying to know, like, how, like, what do you think about this? How common is it? Because we know what we're working with. Yeah, gag reflex is a thing that you need to take into consideration. What do you think about the way that he initiates it? What do you think about the way that Charlotte navigates it? And then what do you think about the conversation and when they all agree, like, oh, I only give it to receive it?
Okay, so awful the way that he does that. I mean, pushing someone's head down is like
Very
it
90s.
no, but it still happens. My single friends talk about it all the time, right? But I think there's also a lack of communication that happens along with that because men will continue doing this if they don't hear from women that like not only is this something that they don't want, but it's disrespectful.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of educating the men to do this differently.
Yeah.
And I I don't remember. I don't think that they had sex yet, but what she should have said was, listen, you pushing my head down and wanting a blowjob from me just feels very wrong. We haven't gotten there yet. It feels unnatural.
Yeah.
When I feel like I'm ready, I will tell you. In the meantime, can we explore other things, right?
Yeah.
So I think it always boils down to communication, and that's something that you see throughout the show that really drives me crazy, especially with, and I know we're going to talk about this later on, but with Carrie not communicating how she
Yes.
really feels with Mr. Big, right? So it's the same thing with the blowjob. Like if you're dating somebody who is forcing you, putting pressure on you to do something you don't want to do, whether that's a blowjob or something else, you need to communicate it on the spot, right?
Yeah.
Or if you feel, and a common, and there are different ways that we react to this, right? And so generally it's fight, flight, or freeze. Freeze is very common, but there's a fourth one called fawning. And
Yeah.
fawning is something that a lot of women do, which means that in order to protect ourselves, we pretend that it's okay.
Mm-hmm. And this
And
is what Charlotte kind of does.
and well, for me, I generally freeze. You know, if
Mm-hmm.
that happened to me in the past, like sometimes you'd be so shocked by the action that you would freeze. And for other women, it can be fawning. So I would say if you encounter a situation where you're not able to communicate what it is that you want to say, just try to communicate it as soon as you quickly like get your act together and feel ready for it, right? I
Yeah.
think it's really important. But the other thing that I was going to say about it is Charlotte needs to learn how to not give like full-throated blowjobs. Like the head of the penis is where the party's at. You do not need to deep throat. Like learn how to give a hand job simultaneously. You know, I think there's so many
Excellent.
ways around it. And I don't blame you for only giving to receive. Like that's totally okay. But
Mm-hmm.
if you have the ick, you can't blame your partner for not retributing that, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if you want
If
them
you
to
don't
go
put it
down on
on the
you,
menu, yeah. So,
yeah.
and Charlotte is like, yeah, so I don't want it either. So that's off the menu completely.
Yeah, I think she just needs to learn. And this is for anybody who's listening and is like, I hate giving blowjobs. It's like, I get it. It's like Samantha says, it's called a job for a reason.
Yeah.
But you can also learn how to give a massage at the same time that you're just at the top where it, you know, it makes it easier for your gag reflex.
Okay. I wish you would have been there. So they all kind of like share their experience on the matter. Everybody says where they stand, and then they're walking out, and Samantha spots Mr. Big and's like, "Oh, isn't that Mr. Big?" And Carrie's like, "Oh yeah, let me go say hello."
It's such a
And
fucked up scene.
oh, it broke my heart. She
Yeah.
was so happy. She was looking gorgeous. She approaches him because obviously, you know, in her mind, everything's hunky dory, everything's still blissful honeymoon period. It's like, hey, how are you? And you can see how she starts getting all the messages. And then she braves up to say, hey, are you on a date? He's like, well, sort of. And then you can see that she's completely caught by surprise, obviously very pissed off. She loses her cool, which goes very much in everything that she is and she becomes around Mr. Big, that she always puts on a bit of a personality, or she needs to be a specific kind of woman that is aloof, not too bothered. And she walks away and says to him, like, unbelievable, he's dating other women. And then she says out loud, and I love that you live in New York for this, because she's like, in a city with so many possibilities as New York has, was monogamy too much to expect? And this, do you think that by living in a big city, monogamy is a lot rarer?
No, I don't think so. I think it's settling down that can be rarer, right? Because you have so many options, so you're going to want to date around. But I, because I do think that there's a distinction between like monogamy and just dating multiple people at the same
Yeah.
time. Like,
Yeah.
I think, yeah. I think the one thing that I see here in New York is that because you're in a city where there's the best people in the world, the most competitive, you have so many beautiful women who are killing it, and men as well. Like, you're always worried about, can I meet somebody better the next time around, right?
Yeah.
Like, so you want to leave your options open.
Yeah.
That's an issue. Now, I think in her case, again, like, she just jumped into it too soon. Like,
Yeah.
it's not something that is wrong for you to expect. It's just that you've decided to date the fuck boy. You know when the guy
fuck
is
man.
toxic. Yeah. Like, you know when the guy is toxic.
Yeah.
Just acknowledge it. Acknowledge that you have a type, or that you need to move on and find someone. There's so many great guys in the city.
Yeah. I love it because she does say, like, I run so far with my feelings that I did not realize that I was standing with all those feelings by myself. And she feels stupid. And
Yeah.
I can see where she is. That is, like, obviously it sounds like this, they've been spending every waking minute together. So when has he had the time? So normally that conversation of, defining the relationship or asking, especially being the woman, if you are a bit more conservative or you stick a bit more into the, I like the man to lead, you don't want to be the one that says, hey, should we be exclusive? So I think she probably didn't have that communication because she was like, not my job. And everything's going so well. Maybe it was part scared because I was like, I don't want to ask this question, but also like, there's no way. So I feel for her.
I understand, but I think it's so important for you to speak up for what you want. And as women, like, at this stage of history,
Yeah.
we need to throw that out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're in charge.
Yeah, we're in charge. I mean,
Yeah.
men have such a hard time, men usually have a harder time asking for what they want in the relationship, or I mean, in the sense that they have a harder time consolidating. And like, there's always the running joke, right? Like, being asked to marry and to formalize the relationship, all of these things, like, for them, it can be a little bit slower.
Yeah.
So I think it's okay if the woman places pressure, so to speak. It's a way for you to also see if you're not going to be wasting your time.
Yeah. So you think that you'd rather recommend somebody, takes the bull by its horns and asks the question, rather than just not asking because some men get scared. So you're playing a game where you don't want to push because you might scare him.
I think there are ways that you can approach the conversation, but men, if you're not going to be nagging about it, but if you're confident and you're placing value on yourself, and you know that you are somebody who is worth being with, and you're not going to sit around for somebody to just make a decision at their own time, then when you position it that way with more confidence, they'll respect you more for it.
Okay.
And I think that's a big issue with her, is that she doesn't, right? She tries to play it really cool. She's also really naive. Like, who has a business dinner with a woman on a Saturday night, right? Like, she didn't know initially that it was a woman, but she saw it was a woman
Yeah.
with her back to her.
Yeah.
It's like
That's how,
you're going to approach that dinner table. I would have been pissed. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't even have had, given him the benefit of the doubt. I would have
Yeah.
already known what was going on.
I don't think I
So
would have walked over. I would have called him pissed afterwards.
yeah, of course. But like, I think her problem is she tries to act too cool about it. And it's so important to voice what is bothering you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, then we get a little blip of like Sex and the City Old School, which is like the confessionals. And I'm curious to hear your point of view from your work field because they start putting little clips of strangers describing monogamy. Like, of course, I'm monogamous, but like, of course, in my definition of monogamy, sex with prostitutes is allowed. And then somebody else is like, well, me and my husband are very monogamous, but like in the 60s or the 70s. He's a gay man and says like we don't exchange numbers or fluids. Then somebody else is like monogamy is boring, and somebody else says that monogamy means that you don't have to shave your legs. So, I mean, considering that like the fluids, numbers, etc., can be now inside, or sex with prostitutes can be inside the definition of somebody's relationship as long as everybody's consensual, fine. But the one that screamed to me is like monogamy is boring. What would you say maybe to somebody who is in like a very loving, committed relationship, very old school, monogamous by the book, and they think that they fall into a rut or it's boring? Is there a way out of that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely so many ways out of that. I think when you're with someone for a really long time, you're most likely going through the same motions when you have sex. Usually for straight couples, it's like you kiss a little bit, you have maybe some oral, and then you go straight into penetration, and there's barely any seduction. Like no seduction happens anymore. It's like you look at each other and you're like,
You
do
know?
you want to have sex? You know? And so I think these are the moments where it's so important for you to go back to the beginning. Like, what are the things that you need? And I'm relaunching our Desire Masterclass. So I cover a lot of this in there for anybody that might be going through this and like wants some help. But you really need to think about what are the great sexual experiences that you've had and what are the contexts that made for that great sexual experience, right? How was the seduction like? How are you feeling? What was your state of mind? What was the relationship dynamic like?
Yeah.
What were the things that you did during sex? What was going through your mind? And how did it end? What happened after? I think when you get really clear on what are the contexts that work for you, you're able to bring that back into your life. So, seduction is such an important part of it, and creating new shared experiences together. Because you've been with someone for so long, you assume that you know everything about them, and you end up kind of, date night is usually just going to a restaurant. You're not looking for new experiences. And they did a study where couples who try new things together are 36 times more likely to have sex that day than couples who don't.
Right.
And the great news is that this sexual and relationship satisfaction like persists over time when you are consistently creating new shared experiences. So it's not about doing something different in bed. It really is about just doing new things together outside of bed.
Can I ask you, is that from your professional point of view equally important for females and males?
For males, it tends to be easier for you to just get in the mood because they have what we call spontaneous desire. So they realize that they're turned on and right away they feel the arousal. And for women, it tends to be the other way around, where you need usually more of an emotional connection, and then touch begins, and then through the touch and the emotional connection you realize, oh, you become aroused, and then you realize that you're turned on. So it takes a little bit longer. And like for men, it takes 1 to 5 minutes to get an erection, and for women it takes us 20 to 40 minutes for our vulvas to fully become quote unquote erect, like fully
Yeah.
engorged with blood. And our vulvas, our clitorises are the same size as penises are on average. So we need more time to allow the blood to flow in and to become fully aroused. But we have sex on average 3 to 13 minutes. So that doesn't give us enough time. We're not warmed up enough. So it's like such an important thing. You create these new shared activities outside of bed. You take the time to seduce, to warm up, to do the foreplay. Foreplay begins when the last time you had sex ends, right?
Yeah.
And so that in and of itself already allows for a much better sexual experience. That like you don't need to include new props or do new positions. It's just changing other contexts that take place.
Okay. So PSA announcement for any men listening.
Yes.
Just spend more time before the actual penetration.
Absolutely. But Esther Perel talks a lot about this, like making sure that you also have time for yourself is really
Yeah.
important. I talk to enough moms who, because they're so overwhelmed with kids and taking care of like the household agenda, they don't give themselves any time to do what they actually like or to do any activities where they feel embodied, you know, and
Right.
really connected with themselves. So I think it's so important for you to cultivate that and have your own activities that are separate from your partner. It's that space that you
Yeah.
create. It's like it's an art in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we switch on to Carrie doing all the nurturing to herself or coping with the new reality, which is they're not exclusive and she just got the news. And she is out with Stanford, who in the 90s in this show, he is portrayed as like a very topical, typical gay man by almost like a caricature. And Stanford has like a very, off the cuff, like, well, darling, like monogamy is out of the way because the new millennium is coming in. So, of course, like nobody believes in monogamy, da da da. And then they run into Justin Thoreau, and he is most famous 30 under 30 or something ridiculous like that. Very cocky, hits on Carrie, and even Carrie says, like, I didn't even feel the rush that I normally get from being validated by another male, because she's so sad about Mr. Big not loving her the way she wants to be loved or not choosing her the way she wants to be chosen. I think then she's back home and she gets a phone call from him, and he is, I think, seeing how bad the damage is. He's being very sweet. He's like, we still on for Saturday, da da da, and ends the conversation by saying, I miss you, baby. And during all this, Carrie, in her voiceover, says, I was trying to act so cool, like it didn't bother me, but it's so obvious that it bothered her so much. And this is what you were talking about earlier. How do you think that is the best way when you're caught in something where you think that you have so much at stake? Like, I think Carrie's willing to hold on to Mr. Big, however, whichever way he wants to show up for her, even if that's maybe not being exclusive as soon as she thinks they should be. How would you say that maybe would be a good way to have that conversation?
I think she confirmed too soon. She sounded too enthusiastic, especially after everything that had happened. Like, maybe don't answer the phone every time that it rings. That's something that I notice all the time watching these 90s shows. I'm like, I'm so glad I don't have a phone at home anymore. Do you remember how that was?
Yeah.
And so,
And like not having ID caller.
exactly. No, I think she messed up on that. I really do. She should have played it a little bit cooler, for sure.
I think I would have been like, how was your date? Like very,
Yeah,
very,
exactly.
very
The
burnt about it.
sassiness. I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
And to make him appreciate you more, you know, and not take you for granted. Like the way she spoke was just so, she just gave herself in too quickly, I think.
Yeah, very submissive. Do you think
Yeah.
that it's a sign of how unhealthy the relationship is probably bound to be if, you don't feel comfortable enough to say what it's really in your mind and what you really want?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah, I
that was
mean, she's and it shows, right? Like they went on for what, like 10 years of torture.
yeah.
So
But
even the
that's the
wedding itself
problem.
was chaos, you
Yeah,
know?
but then she gets the penthouse, amazing walk-in wardrobe, and she gets the ring,
And then he dies,
and
you
then he
know?
dies.
That
Um,
was too much torture. Anyways.
yeah. Okay, so then, as a good girlfriend does, Miranda takes the hit and they go out for dinner. And Carrie is admittedly obsessing over the conversation, over everything that happened. She's just like, Miranda, do you think that him saying, I miss you, baby, means like mea culpa? Like, I fucked up.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
No, he's just, there's this saying in Portuguese where you're like just making sure that all of the plates that are turning, that are spinning, or you keep spinning them. So it's like suddenly like this one's been spinning for too long and you need to like get in touch with it again and like spin it again and
Yeah.
like keep them kind of, it's like what he's doing with her, right? He's just trying to keep all of these different women holding on. And so he's a player. That
Yeah.
was the whole thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then Skipper walks by with this lovely woman, and then they have like a quick conversation where we understand that not only she's not stupid, like she's good looking, has a good job, is sweet, and they seem to have like a really sweet thing going on, her and Skipper. And they walk away, and Miranda's like, he looks good. Has he been working out? Like, what's that? Like, what is it about Miranda, feminist that she is, that she suddenly wants Skipper the minutes that somebody else wants him?
It's ego.
She does have
Yeah,
a
it's
big
ego.
ego.
She does. And like she's another case where she never really fell in love with anybody that she was with, right? Like
Yeah,
her story, her love story is actually pretty sad.
yeah.
So for her it's definitely ego.
Okay. And then I think we follow Skipper home. He's having sex with Allison. Phone rings. He lets it go to the message machine, and um it's Miranda, so he picks up and he's like, "Oh, I can't talk right now, but yeah, for sure, I'll see you." Hangs up, breaks up with Allison, and Allison's like, "Are you breaking up with me while you're inside of me?" He's like, "Yeah, the woman that I love just called me and she wants me back."
He's
Um,
delusional just like Carrie. You
exactly.
know?
Yeah, so
At no point did she say that, Also, like another thing of the 90s that drives me crazy is that the machine coming on for the whole house to hear,
oh
like that
yeah,
is so unnecessary.
but that was so fun. It was like a fucked up Russian roulette.
I know, totally. Yeah.
The new version of that is when you're plugged into the Bluetooth and you have
Oh yeah.
dictation, or like new message from.
Yes.
Okay. And then I think, they switch to the next scene. And Charlotte is having the tug of war again with her almost engaged person. Like, they're just back at their place. He tries again to initiate a blowjob, and she's like, nope, and I'm sorry, I never want to do it, blah blah blah. And then he kind of hints at the fact, because this episode is all about monogamy. Well, I intend to get a lot of blowjobs in the future, and I would like you to be there, but if not, I'll have to get them somewhere else. So I think he's hinting at the fact, like, maybe we can have something super stable, but I'll get my blowjobs from someone else. And then they have this kind of discussion where Charlotte is like, you're willing to give up a wonderful woman, the mother of your children, a beautiful wife, because I don't want to do this. And would you really want me to do something that I don't want to do? So what do you think of this discussion? I mean, I think they're obviously not compatible, but like, I'm just curious, like, where's the compromise there? And yeah, sorry. What do you think about the reasoning of the two?
I think she's also delusional. Like she's already placing so much pressure on this relationship, the mother of your children, the blah blah blah. And I'm like, have they even had sex yet?
Yeah.
It's like she's just checking the box here. I think that I think it's a conversation that would have never happened in real life. Like that early on is like you know, if you're not going to give me, like, we can still stick together, but I'm going to need to like find my blowjob somewhere else.
Yeah.
I think it's really important for you to be honest about your kinks and the things that you really enjoy in bed. And if sex is something that's important to you, sexual compatibility is crucial for a relationship then, if you want to be happy, if you want to be faithful. So like, as messed up as this conversation was, I think he did them both a favor to
Yeah.
have this, to be open and honest about it. Like, this is what
Yeah.
I like. I know I need to receive it from my partner. And there are plenty of women out there who do like to give blowjobs. So,
Yeah.
so he saved her a lot of time and headache.
Yeah. Okay. Then I think the next scene is Carrie and Big at this Saturday plan that they were doing, which is a party at one of Mr. Big's friends. And as soon as they walk in, this woman flaunts herself and like falls onto Mr. Big's arms, like kisses him in the lips. And then she's like, "Where have you been? You still have my passport." Like, you can see that there's definitely something that has gone down there that was probably not very formal, but a lot of fun. And then Carrie's just like getting more ammo and more ammo, and she's getting more and more pissed. Then Mr. Big is trying to, I guess, make it up to him. He's like, "Oh, I want you to make someone very special to me." He's like, "Julia." It's like, "Not Julia." And then I think Mr. Big says, "No, this is Carrie. She has a column called Sex and the City in the New York Star." It's like, "Well, you're dating the right guy to know about sex." The whole thing is just like a car crash that keeps getting worse and worse.
Right.
And then Carrie chooses this moment to make a scene and be like, "No, this is not for me. This is not what I want. Like, how dare you?" And she just, I think he says, "Please, do you really want to do this here?" And she's like, "What? This is who I am." Like, I don't know. She gives a vague response. And then he says, "What do you want from me?" And she says, "Nothing. I want absolutely nothing from you," which is such bullshit. And then she walks away. But she is Carrie. She is dramatic. She doesn't speak in like clear terms. And off she goes to meet Stanford at this party with Justin Theroux. So, what do you think about how she handled that?
She was way too like, a girl comes up to your date and kisses him on the mouth. She didn't react to that at all. That was
No.
what was most shocking, you
Yeah.
know? I think this whole trying to play the cool girl and being the chill girl is like, guys like some craziness. They,
That
and
said by a Brazilian says a lot.
and I'm a chill Brazilian. So, but I think she should have reacted right there. She should have already positioned herself right there, like when
Yeah.
that kiss happened, not. And then when he says Julia, which is the name of the woman that he was on that dinner with, is
Yeah.
like, oh man, I don't know. She just kept on giving him too many opportunities to. And he was very clear. He's like, "Well, what do you want from me?" Like, clearly, he's like, "I don't want anything serious right now."
Yeah.
But she decided to hold on to it for too long. So,
Yeah. Do
yeah.
you think that a relationship is doomed when the woman, and I'm sorry because I'm going to be like very cisgender, heterosexual by the old book. Do you think that a relationship is doomed if the woman is more invested than the man?
No, I don't think so at all. In my case, I was more invested than my husband was in the beginning, and now we're together. Like, it's fine.
And
I think
do you think it flips? Do you think like there's an ebb and flow?
I think there's an ebb and flow in the relationship. There are times in the relationship where you're going to be more invested than they are, and then they're going to be more invested than you are, just like anything in life. Like, there's never a perfect balance.
Yeah.
I think it helps when the woman is invested because women are the ones who honestly dictate how things go. Like, remember that Big Fat Greek Wedding movie? And it's like the man is the head and the woman is the neck is one thing that they mention. And it's like, it's true. Like, we're the ones who dictate the storyline. So, and it goes back to our conversation in the beginning. So it's like, you're obviously, there's a limit to how much pressure you can put on someone, and you don't want to seem desperate. But I think it's important for you to position yourself, because then it shows that you value yourself and that you have confidence.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's lacking here. And so you can be more invested than the guy. I've seen so many cases besides my own where the woman is more invested in the beginning than the guy is. Men are just slower,
Yeah.
but eventually tables will turn if it is meant to, if it makes sense, right?
Okay.
So
So then my next question is, because I'm also like conscious of the fact that they haven't discussed whether or not they're exclusive. They haven't discussed what's okay and what's not okay. So in Mr. Big's defense, like, yeah, he did nothing wrong. They still hadn't defined what that was. They're hanging out. They're getting to know each other.
yeah.
And then this to me was, I'm sorry to say, pathetic. Carrie goes to the party with Stanford,
Yeah.
runs into Justin Thoreau,
I didn't
who
even know it was Justin Thoreau, by the way.
it
Now you're
is, no?
mentioning is, I don't know. I think so. I didn't ever Googled it, but
I'm pretty sure he's one of my favorite cameos. So he appears again as Carrie's boyfriend that cannot get it up and is like the son of a sexologist or something like that. I
oh,
think.
really? I don't
I
remember
think.
that. Okay.
Anyway, so she goes to this party, runs into him, and he's all over her, and he's like, "Oh, I'm completely obsessed with you. Like I'm in love with you. Will you come
Hmm.
home with me tonight?" She's like, "Yes. Just give me a moment to make a phone call." And she does the equivalent of posting a story on Instagram for your crush to see
Right.
of having a man all over you. But she is so shameless about taking the phone and being like, "I'm at a party, fabulous party. And I have this man that asked me to go home with him. He appears, like, his name is Jared. Say hello, Jared. Hello, Jared." And then Mr. B was like, "What the fuck? Like, stop with the playing." She asks him to meet her. She's very bitchy about the way she asks, which that I kind of liked. And they kind of miss each other until they find each other outside. And this to me is a point where Carrie asks to define the relationship, but she does it in a very romantic writer's way.
Right.
They are in front of each other. It's like, okay, you have me here. What do you want? It's like, will you stand still with, or no, she goes on this rant.
Yeah.
She's like, so I've gone out there, done the merry-go-round, done the revolving doors, and I finally feel like I found somebody with whom I want to stand still with. Will you stand still with me? And he asks, so you asked me out at 3 a.m. to ask me if I would stand still with you. I.e., in the mind of Carrie, she's asking very romantically, can we be exclusive? And then the fuckboy will give just enough for her to be happy, but not sign the contract. So
Yeah.
he grabs her and stands still with her. And she's so happy. So what do you think of this scene?
Oh man, I feel so sorry for her in this scene, because who does that? You know?
I was like that. My therapist is working very hard with me in making me ask more clearly about the things that I want and need. But I used to give hints.
Yeah, but I think the way that she did it at a party, calling him, it's, 3 in the morning, asking for that, at 3 in the
Yeah, that
morning in
was
the middle of a
desperate.
park. Like, that's what I mean, right? Like,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
is desperate right there. I like the way that she put it, and I think it's fine. It just in a different context would have been better, you
yeah.
know?
And when you know who you're working with, like, if this is a fuckboy, you're gonna have to say, like, no, no, no. I mean, you need to get rid of all the side pieces.
Yeah, it's like the song from the Cranberries, like fool me, go on and fool me, like that's what she
Yes,
wants.
yes.
So I do feel sorry for her in that moment, because I'm like, okay, as beautiful and poetic as this ask was, that he doesn't have his heart in it. You don't
Not
even
yet.
want it to happen in that context with the way things have unfolded in that same night, and go home with a guy, like have good sex and like
Yeah,
deal with
get
this in the
yourself
morning.
out of this spell. regain
Have him
some of,
call you,
yeah,
like he didn't even run after her when she left the party.
yeah.
So I think that says it all. He
Okay.
wasn't he wasn't apologetic.
No, I think she gave him the perfect way out,
Yeah.
which was like, give me a half-ass sign that we're on the right track, even though I know you're not ready to do the right
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the end of the episode. And I think when I first saw it, or one of the very first few times that I saw it, I thought that was so romantic. And now I see it and I am enraged because I'm just like so pathetic on her side. And also, that doesn't mean shit. You
Yeah.
haven't asked for anything, so he's not given anything.
Yeah.
But okay, so to wrap it all up, I'm gonna ask you what your advice would be to each one of the girls. So, to Carrie, what would you say to somebody that I'm guessing, maybe as your friend, maybe as her sexologist, she would come and say, I'm having this amazing connection with this man, because I think she truly believes that they understand each other and they get each other so well. We
Mhm.
have great sex. I'm obsessed with him. We're not exclusive. I run into him in another date, and then this happened, and then that happened. And what would you say to her, knowing that she hadn't voiced any of her needs, wants, concerns to this man?
Communication is the foundation of it all. Like you need to align where you're at, how you feel, what you expect out of this, and until that's not communicated, you can't expect anything out of the relationship, you know? It's
I love that. Yeah.
yeah.
So she could have saved all of the headaches of asking Miranda to interpret everything that he had to say, because it's like he is the person she needs to be talking to, not Miranda.
Yeah, absolutely. Poor Miranda. I don't think she's a reference either, with her
Yeah.
complications and going back and forth. Like everybody's just trying to figure it out. I think the interesting thing about Sex in the City is that I remember when I was younger and I had always watched like a few episodes here and there. I didn't realize that it was women in their 30s in New York City in the 90s, which is so forward for the time,
Yeah.
and so if today it's still taboo, I mean, it's less so in New York, but it still is. Talk to my friends in their 30s who are single, they want to meet somebody. Not everybody in the world does, but like they specifically do, and they do feel this pressure of like, I'm in my 30s, I'm dating in the city. And I think that if there's a benefit for you to be in your 30s is that you have more experience
Mm-hmm.
under your wing, and I think that can bring more confidence and more an ability for you to really stand in your value in a way that you didn't in your 20s, right? Like your 20s, you're fucking up here and there and blah, blah, blah. I
Yeah.
think in your 30s, not that you don't fuck up, but I think it's just an opportunity for you to be more graceful with yourself and for you to know your worth.
Yeah.
I said know your value before, but it's know your worth is what I meant. And that's honestly why younger men also like dating older women, because they really enjoy that sense of
Yeah.
confidence that younger women don't have. So I feel almost like Sex in the City, and now watching it a year and a half ago, the whole thing in my 30s in New York City, and realizing the whole context of it that I didn't realize when I was younger. I'm like, dude, I feel like they are not giving any of these women whatever benefit I see myself and other friends who are in their 30s. And if I were to be single again and dating, that you do have as
Yeah.
somebody in your 30s, all the things that I just mentioned. It's like, I almost feel like they're giving them, it's like they're in their 20s and still learning,
Yeah. I think there's that mentality of scarcity, and that makes you
Yes,
settle, and that makes you become cynical, and that makes you, yeah, be
absolutely.
yanked around.
But I just, the her and Mr. Big is like something I just don't wish upon anybody, you know?
No.
Well, we've
No.
all had a big, but like you let go of the big much early. Like it's such a red flag,
Yes.
So I don't know. That's like,
Well,
I
this
want to
is the
hug
whole,
Carrie.
yeah, this is the whole purpose of my podcast. Let's go and bury all the Mr. Bigs and all of your toxic exes. Like, he's not your Mr.
Yeah.
Big. Or if he is, that's not a good thing. That's no longer a good thing.
Yeah, I think it's just so important, especially if you do feel the pressure of like settling down in your 30s. It's like, can you like, where are the good guys at? Like the guys that you probably always just rejected for some reason. Like Kate Hudson mentioned this in an interview with Alex Cooper, where she said, listen, like you're the one, you need to understand that he may not look like that Pinterest board,
Yeah,
and
I
that's
listened to that.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like be honest about that. And I think that's something that can really shift how you date, is when you
Yeah.
realize that it's okay that he's not going to look like your Pinterest board. Like,
Fair.
yeah.
Okay, what about Charlotte? This one I'm dying to know how you would take this on, because I'm curious to know. Obviously, she would come to you and she would pay good money and she would be like, I need help because like I've met my future husband, even though, as you said, they probably haven't slept together fully yet. But he is really keen on me going down on him, and this is just something that I don't do.
For me, before anything, I just feel like she also jumped into it too quickly by placing all this expectation that he was the one before what is seemingly they had no sex.
Yeah.
And so it's just unrealistic. And I think it's like, okay, like take a moment to value what it is that you also want out of this relationship and what's the kind of sex that you want to have in your life. And if he is placing this pressure, you need to kill this behavior at the root. Like,
Yeah.
have this conversation with him right away. And how he reacts to it is going to be very telling. If a guy does not respect your no and keeps pushing your boundary or keeps trying to find a way around it, like he did with, okay,
Yeah.
well, I'm going to have to find it somewhere else, then move on to the next guy,
Yeah.
Again, it's
Okay.
all about knowing your worth, like standing in your worth.
Which I think that she did. She was like, you know what? Bye.
She did, but I think that she wasn't willing to have the hard conversation earlier on, like before introducing him to all the friends, like before, it's I
Yeah.
think she should have had that conversation with him earlier.
Yeah. Okay. Then on to Miranda,
Mm.
who, she has sex with Skipper, and then Skipper's like, oh, I'm so happy you called. The minute you called, I broke up with Allison and blah blah blah. And Miranda's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, what are you
Yeah.
talking about? I don't think that I'm ready to have any serious relationship yet. Da, da, da. And then Skipper does stand up and like, it's like, I'm not your stud on call or dial a fuck buddy or something like that. He has like all these one-liners that are hilarious. Like, go figure out what it is that you want and I hope you get it. Bye. What would you say to Miranda, who went after a guy that she rejected 1,000 times, or if this is episode 7 times, and then wanted him the minute he was with somebody else, only to know that she could get him?
I think she needs to date around more,
Yeah.
I feel like Miranda is, because she's so focused on her career, it's like she doesn't give herself, she's too cynical about the dating scene. And so
Mm-hmm.
therefore kind of becomes like this small pool that she's working with.
Yeah.
And I think she needs to open up that range of like men to date. And it really just boils down to her ego too, like purely, right?
Yeah.
And I blame her less because I feel like this is more on him. Like he should have managed his expectations. He clearly misunderstood, and that
Yeah.
was on him. So yeah, I feel like hers is like the chillest of all of them. Well, no,
Yeah.
actually Samantha's is. We haven't gotten to Samantha
Well,
yet. But
because
like,
Samantha.
but I think it's like I get less defensive when a woman is like being a quote unquote player, because like
Yeah.
we get fucked all the time by men. So there's also like a small part of me that's like, go Miranda,
Yeah, 100%. Because I kept thinking, like, how many times has that happened on the other, like,
Yeah.
with a role switched?
Which is so typical. Like the guy gets offended, but when he does it, it's totally normal.
Yeah. Like, I don't know what gave you that impression.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Samantha, yeah. I love that because this episode was about monogamy. She had zero storyline other than she could not be monogamous even about her realtor. And that's the storyline. So I don't know if you have any notes on her or you would rather keep the notes to skip her.
She's my favorite of
Is
all of
she?
them. Yeah, she is, because for me, Samantha is the only true feminist who like doesn't give a fuck and says what she thinks and is sexually open and explores and doesn't care about what other people's opinions are. Like, I think she embodies what I think Sex and the City should really be about, right?
Yeah.
Like, the other three are, it's just like a hot mess, and Samantha's the only one that kind of has her shit together. She's like successful, has her own money, she dates around, it doesn't care, she doesn't get emotionally involved. Occasionally she does, but she's strong enough where she manages these better. She's like by far my favorite.
I think
um
she is the truest to herself. Like she puts it
yes.
out there that she wants nothing serious, and then she has like two relationships that we see, and then I think they hint at a third one where she really got her heart broken. Um,
I mean,
there,
in that sense, then she is somebody who obviously has difficulty being intimate, so she's protecting herself. But I don't know, I think she does it in such a powerful way.
yeah, no, I agree. I remember watching this back when I was still in high school with my parents, and I think my mom, who was very conservative and like, for all I know, got to getting married a virgin and then had kids and blah blah blah. I think Samantha was her favorite because she was
Ah,
so fun and she was so
yeah.
light and she has so much fun, and she was fabulous. So I agree. Okay, I think that's it for the episode. Now, Natasha, I wanted to ask you because I know you've been very busy with your own project, with Wonderlust and other little satellite projects. I would love for you to tell the listeners what you work on most, who are your clients, what do you work with them on, etc.
Yeah. So my focus is helping women overcome low desire and consequently couples to overcome mismatched desire. So
Hmm.
we are going to be relaunching next week our Reignite Desire Masterclass. It'll be a 2-hour masterclass to help you really rebuild the foundation of your sex life, experience more pleasure, more desire. And then we're going to be launching at the beginning of next year a membership community for women. And there's going to be a ton of workshops and live group calls, and then consequently also working one-on-one. So a lot of new things that are coming out. And we have our intimacy card deck that helps couples talk about
I
sex.
saw that. That looks so fun.
Yes. Thank you.
Um, and I'm guessing that the membership would be useful to anybody all over the world, not just,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. Yeah. Globally, but women only.
perfect. But I'm guessing then there's a lot that might be for people who are in committed relationships with maybe,
That's my focus. Yeah,
yes.
it is, because generally experiencing low desire is something that people who are in a relationship or marriage, generally 2+ years, start experiencing. It's after that new relationship energy starts to die down.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll put all that in the show notes.
Okay, great.
And Natasha, thank you so much for your time. This has been so much fun to record.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of And Just Like That, We Found Therapy. As per usual, don't forget to check the show notes for all things related to today's guest. Also, check out my Instagram and TikTok accounts at We Found Therapy Pod. And also, please don't forget to share it, rate 5 stars, and leave me any comments on the pod because it always helps me make a better podcast, but also it helps the podcast in general. And also, feel free to DM me. I'm all ears. See you on our next therapy session. I love y'all. Bye.